Hi, I'm Angela Sicorso. I'm the Delaware Department of Education Ed Associate for Educator Development and Evaluation. This presentation will review the process of the Delaware Teacher Growth and Support System, DTGSS. Ongoing observations with debrief sessions and conferences take place between September and May. A minimum of 4 15-minute observations are required. Before the fall conference, an observer may conduct an observation. Between September and October 15th, the fall conference is held. Prior to February 1st, or after 2 observations have been completed, the mid-year conference is held. The mid-year conference is optional and is held at the administrator's discretion or at the request of the teacher. The recommendation is for all observations to be completed by April 15th and/or before the Spring Evaluation Conference. The Spring Evaluation Conference is held between April 1st and before May 15th and/or after the final observation and all student assessments are complete. Professional growth plans as well as student improvement goals are created at the fall conference. At the beginning of the school year, the teacher and evaluator review student performance and reflect on potential areas for the professional growth priority. The purpose of the fall conference is to articulate clear goals for professional growth and student learning to drive ongoing observation, feedback, and support. During the fall conference, both the teacher and the evaluator determine artifacts and evidence to collect for progress towards goals and identify any resources needed to support the professional growth priority. The professional growth priority includes action steps, timelines, and resources that the teacher will need to make progress in the priority area. The professional growth priority is intended to drive feedback and support for teachers. Progress is assessed through the collection and assessment of evidence aligned to performance areas 1, 2, and 3 and on the observation framework. The student improvement goals are set each year by the teacher. These goals are based on student learning and assessment data and are set based on what subjects the teacher teaches and previous student performance. Student improvement goals are rated. The student improvement goal rating comprises the rating for performance area 4. There are 3 different types of growth plans: directed, collaborative, and self-directed. The collaborative growth plan is a plan that is created collaboratively between the teacher and the administrator. The teacher and administrator work together to reflect on past practice, identify where the teacher has been successful and what has led to that success, and to identify the areas where teacher improvement would have had the most significant impact on student growth. The self-directed plan is a plan that is created and managed by the teacher. The teacher's administrator will review and approve the growth plan, but plays a smaller role in monitoring the plan and in shepherding resources to support the teachers. Some teachers have had great success in their classrooms, and as a result of consistently high performance and professional growth, these teachers typically receive high ratings on past evaluations, both on teacher practice and student improvement measures. Self-directed growth plans are met for these kinds of teachers. Directed growth plans are meant for teachers who need more formal direction and support for growth from their evaluator. A directed growth plan is a plan that is created and managed by the administrator in partnership with the teacher. All forms are captured in DSC. The task, Professional Growth Plan, Fill in Professional Growth Goal, will be available for the teachers who are on a collaborative or self-directed plan. The task will not be available for the teachers on a directed plan, for the plan starts with the administrator. So let's take a look at the DSC platform. Once logged into the DSC web application and DTGSS, click on View My Info. Under your tasks, click Fill in Professional Growth Goal. All teachers are required to set a minimum of 1 goal. Each goal is tied to an indicator on the Delaware Teacher Classroom Observation Framework. In the summary of past teacher performance from previous years, the teacher reflects on data and current practices. So for instance, reflection on past performance could read something like this: My 4th grade math scores were at their lowest last year and for the past 5 years. Feedback from last year's observations indicated that I need to build a stronger structure to check for student understanding in order to determine how well students understand a concept. The next section is to identify the professional growth goal. The professional growth goal here will be what the teacher will do to improve in that area. So, for example, for the professional growth goal, a teacher could write, I will investigate strategies for checking for understanding in order to improve more timely, specific, and relevant feedback. Tag the indicator to which this goal aligns. This goal aligns to 2.3, checks for understanding and feedback. My action steps that I will take, I will attend PLCs to discuss, check for understandings with the other math teachers. I will attend math professional learning sessions on this topic, and I will implement 3 different check for understanding strategies that I learned in PD. The support and resources that I need from the school will be opportunities to attend professional learning. This will be monitored weekly, and evidence will be collected through PLC notes, agenda meetings, and the strategies learned. Then I submit to my evaluator. The next part the teacher completes is the student improvement goals. For the most part, goal setting for student improvement has not changed. Teachers will still select measures based on their group assignment, and the teachers will still set measure targets and complete the measure rating in the spring. The student improvement goal is a goal for student learning that helps the teacher measure his or her impact on the students. The goal is based in student assessment data, assessed at the spring conference. Rating becomes the rating for Performance Area 4, and all information is captured in DSC. Once logged into the DSC web application and DTGSS, click View My Info or My Tasks. You will see a task that is Professional Growth Plan Student Improvement Goal. Click Fill in Student Improvement Goal. The first thing that you will see is a text box where the teacher will type the summary of past student performance. In this box, the teacher will write, SBAC scores dropped 5% in math proficiency from 2018-2019 and 3% from 2014. So the measure type that this teacher will select is Measure B. The assessment type will be external. The assessment used will be the STAR Math. So the teacher scrolls down to find the STAR Math and will identify a course that pulls in from eSchool. The baseline data will be the fall of the school year. The baseline data will be Reading Math, STAR Math, fall scores to be determined. The target date will be the spring of 2022. The satisfactory target for this teacher will be the class median for STAR Math will be between 50 to 79% GSP, and the exceeds target, the class median for STAR Math will be 80% or greater GSP. So the teacher will then complete Student Improvement Goal 2. This teacher will select a Measure B assessment, internal, language arts, grade 4, use the Performance Plus ELA assessment, select the course, identify the baseline date, identify the baseline data. Students averaged a 57% on the formative performance assessment. The target date is spring of 2022. The teacher writes average score on the summative performance task will increase to between 70 and 80% for the satisfactory target, and the exceeds target, the average score will increase to 80% or above. And then the teacher submits the form to the evaluator. Now we're going to talk about observations and feedback. The purpose of regular observation and feedback is to collect evidence of teacher practice aligned to the framework, identify areas for feedback and support, and engage in a cycle of professional growth to benefit the teacher and ultimately the students. Every teacher will have at least 4 observations. Observations are brief, a minimum of 15 minutes. They are unannounced. It is not necessary to capture evidence for each indicator during each observation. However, there should be enough evidence gathered before the end of the year to accurately rate all 9 indicators. The descriptors under each indicator are to be used as a guide to capture and sort evidence. Not all descriptors would be observed in each lesson. Literal notes will be collected in the online platform in DSC. Observers should also take pictures and collect artifacts that can be uploaded into the platform. All data collected will be held in a repository for the evaluator to later tag with a specific indicator after the conference. The steps you see here are the recommended observation process for the evaluator to follow. Observe, analyze notes, prepare for the debrief, and then do the written feedback in DSC. To enter an observation in DSC, the administrator will log into the platform and select the blue box that says Add Observation Feedback Form. In the DTGSS platform, click on Teacher Search. Enter the employee's name and search for the employee. Choose the teacher that you will complete the observation on. Notice that the performance tasks of the professional growth goal and the student improvement goal have been submitted by the teacher. As an evaluator, you can go through and review the professional growth goal, identify what the teacher selected, review her actions or his action steps and benchmarks, identify the supports and resources that you will need to provide for this teacher, and make any comments that you want to provide. This administrator wrote, "Looks good, let me know what you need," and then select Approve. Okay, the administrator will then review the student improvement goals by clicking on that red box, review what the teacher has selected, her baseline data and target dates, and then Approve. Once you're into the task for the teacher, you will add your observation feedback form by clicking on that blue box. You will identify the date of the visit, the time of the visit, the conference date, the grade level observed, the subject observed. You may select to choose the setting, but it's not required. Then you select Edit Observation Notes. Once you are on the observation feedback form page, scroll to the bottom of the page. You will note all of the evidence that you have collected from the observation. This is where you will begin to tag the evidence according to the smart card, the rubric, where it aligns to those indicators. Highlight the part that you want to tag, and you identify which indicator it aligns to. Highlight and select. Notice that it will populate onto the right-hand side of the screen, and you can see which indicators you have tagged. The recommendation is to tag as much evidence as you can, because by the end of the year, you need to have evidence for all 9 indicators. Once you're done tagging, decide which is the most important thing, or what is the most important thing you want to share with this teacher about the learning in the classroom. That will be the basis for your claim. This administrator decided that the lesson objective was not clearly communicated. So the claim, that statement about what the teacher said or did, gets written in this box. The teacher did not clearly communicate the lesson objective. Connected to the framework, it tags to 2.1, Objectives for Learning. This administrator tagged the lesson objective was not accessible to students. Students did not know what they were learning or what the objective is. There is no recommendation to click all of these text boxes. You only need to select the ones that apply to this lesson. The next step is to tag the evidence to that claim. So if you click on Observation Notes, a box pops up and you can find the evidence for 2.1. You may leave that screen open by clicking Remain Open, and you click on the copied evidence and it populates into the text box. Only select the evidence that aligns to that indicator. The next step is to type the impact. The impact statement is what effect did that teacher's decisions have on student learning. As a result, the students did not know what they are learning or why it is important for them to know it. The action steps, again, before you debrief with the teacher, you put this form into draft. The action steps should be a collaborative effort between the administrator and the teacher. Be very specific in your action steps. The more examples and strategies that you can provide, the better off the teacher will be able to implement those strategies. At this point, you have the option to save and add another claim, so you may write more than one claim per observation. The recommended practice is one claim per observation. The recommended practice is to save the form as a draft and continue later until you have had the opportunity to meet with the teacher and to review the evidence, to clarify any questions, and to decide on action steps together. Once you are confident that this is agreed upon between the teacher and the administrator, you submit the form to the employee. The mid-year conferences should be held prior to February 1st or after 2 observations have been completed. Mid-year conferences are optional and should be held if the teacher is not making progress on performance or if performance is declining. Conferences are held at the discretion of the administrator or at the request of the teacher. The purpose of the mid-year conference is to review evidence gathered to date, check in on progress toward professional growth and student learning goals, and to revise professional growth goals if needed. During this conference, the evaluator and teacher review all collected data to date, review progress on professional growth plans, action steps, and student progress. Conversations at this time should also include what's specific to the plan or action steps will be a focus during the remainder of the observations. Prior to the mid-year conference, the teacher completes the mid-year form. Once logged into DSC, the administrator will select Fill in Mid-Year Progress for Professional Growth Plan. The administrator will review first the progress on Student Improvement Goal. Administrator will be able to see what the teacher wrote, and at this point, the administrator should have reviewed the data and will be able to mark the on-track status. Same thing on Goal 2. The conference has been held, the administrator has reviewed the data, and everything is on track. Administrator will then scroll down and reflect on the progress toward professional growth. The teacher wrote, I was only able to implement one new strategy, so the status is here off track, and the comment will be to support the teacher to learn and implement more strategies, a directed growth plan will be created. Remember, the mid-year conference and the mid-year form is optional and is only required for teachers who are not making progress on performance or who need more support. Once completed, submit the form to the employee. The last step is the spring conference. This step is when the ratings are assigned. The spring conference is held between April 1st and before May 15th, or after the final observation. The purpose of the spring conference is to discuss improvement goals and final ratings, indicator and performance area ratings, and progress on professional growth goals. Feedback of this conference will also be documented through a note-taking page in DSC. Educator and evaluator will meet to review all collected data from the past year, progress on the professional growth goals, action steps, and student improvement goals. During this conference, the evaluator reviews ratings for each of the indicators and performance areas and provides recommendations for next year's growth goals. At this time, an evaluator may determine that a directed growth plan may be necessary for the next school year. Final ratings. The observer assigns each of the 3 performance areas a rating based on a preponderance of evidence. Student improvement points are assigned using the current process. Each of the 4 performance areas is weighted equally. Here's how the points are assigned. If the system is truly a growth system, we will likely have people earn higher ratings on their summative because they would have been improving over the year. The goal is not accurate distribution of ratings. The The goal is that teachers and observers are having high-quality, honest conversations about teaching. Because of all of this, decision is to just keep the approach to the summative to roll up the same way as in the last system. Here's how final ratings are assigned. If the system is truly a growth system, we will likely have people earn higher ratings on their summative because they would have been improving over the year. The goal is not accurate distribution of ratings. The goal is that teachers and observers are having high-quality, honest conversations about teaching. Any teacher that has a total score of between 4 and 7 will be assigned a level 1 summative. Between 8 and 10 is a level 2, between 11 and 14 is a level 3, and between 15 and 16 is a level 4. Prior to the spring conference, the teacher completes the summative self-rating form. Once logged into the DSC web application and DTGSS, the teacher clicks View My Info or My Tasks. Click Fill in Self-Rating Form. Once logged into DSC, the first thing that the teacher will reflect on is the student improvement goals. The teacher may attach additional evidence to support the student improvement goals. The teacher will scroll down, select their goal. If they met their satisfactory goal based on the percentages set in the targets, satisfactory for goal 1, satisfactory for goal 2. The teacher can then review tagged evidence and attachments by clicking on the buttons next to each indicator. So the teacher will self-rate each indicator and they can review the evidence from each of the observations. The teacher will then select a rating based upon the preponderance of evidence and where the discussions from the debrief sessions have been all year. So the teacher will select level 3 for all of the performance areas 1. The teacher will select a level 2 for the objectives for learning because that was an area that the teacher was working on, and a level 2 for checks for understanding because the teacher had not implemented all the strategies that they thought that they should implement. So the teacher selects the levels and then the overall rating is based on the preponderance of numbers. So a level 2, a level 3, and a level 2. There are more 2s, so the teacher selects the level 2. Once the teacher reviews the evidence and self-rates, the teacher submits the form to the evaluator. Once logged into DSC, the administrator will first review the teacher's self-rating form. The administrator will have met with the teacher, so they are able to review and confirm that the teacher met satisfactory goal. They'll be able to go review how the teacher self-rated based on the evidence and the conversations from the school year. And if agreed upon, the administrator may acknowledge that. Administrator will fill in the summative form. The first summative ratings will appear for the student improvement. The administrator will scroll down, be able to view the teacher self-rating, and then be able to select their own self-rating. Remember, the spring conference is the conversation between the administrator and the teacher. So at this point, the administrator will have met with the teacher and have confirmed these ratings. Note, this is a calculated field, so 2 satisfactories will be a level 3. The administrator will then go down and rate the performance areas, noting the self-rating of the teacher, reviewing any evidence or possible claim statements that was previously written. So the administrator agrees that the teacher was a level 3 for these areas in performance area 1, so the administrator will self-select. Scroll down to performance area 2. The conversation was had, confirming these ratings. And the administrator goes down to performance area 3, confirms these ratings. And note the calculated field. The overall rating for this teacher is a level 3. Which would be satisfactory. Level 3 and level 4 are satisfactory, level 1 or level 2 unsatisfactory. The administrator selects the growth plan for the year. At the mid-year, it was discussed that the teacher would be on a directed plan to continue to work on 2.3 checks for understanding. If the performance area is unsatisfactory and required the directed growth plan, the administrator selects yes. Any notes from the conference can be documented there. Submit the form to the employee. So the task flow in DSC is summarized on this slide. The administrator enters staff assignments. The teacher enters the student improvement and professional growth goals. The administrator reviews and then approves the goals forms. The administrator conducts and documents at least 2 observations. The teacher enters the mid-year conference form. The administrator reviews or approves the teacher mid-year form. The administrator enters the mid-year conference form. The administrator conducts and documents at least 2 observations for a minimum of total of 4. The teacher enters the self-rating form. The administrator reviews or approves the self-rating form, and the administrator enters the summative form. Remember, the DTGSS process is a system of growth and development, ongoing observations, monitoring of progress, both of student improvement and professional growth goals.